Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Rain Man is a 1988 American drama film that was directed by Barry Levinson and was written by Barry Morrow and Donald Bass. The storyline goes that when car dealer Charlie Babbitt, played by Tom Cruise, learns that his estranged father has died, he returns home to Cincinnati, where he discovers that he has an autistic older brother named Raymond, played by Dustin Hoffman, and that his father's $3 million fortune is being left to the mental institution in which Raymond lives. Motivated by his father's money, Charlie checks Raymond out of the facility in order to return with him to Los Angeles. The brothers' cross-country trip ends up changing both of their lives. In drafting this story for the movie, Barry Morrow decided to base the Dustin Hoffman character, Raymond Babbitt, off his experiences with both Kim Peek and Bill Sachter, two men who had gained notoriety and fame for their intellectual disabilities. Morrow had formed a friendship with the intellectually disabled Sachter, and in doing so ended up taking some situational aspects from the friendship and using them to help craft the relationship between Charlie and Raymond. Following the success of a made-for-TV movie he had written about this character, which was a movie called Bill, Morrow met the notorious Kim Peek and was wildly intrigued by his savant syndrome. The writer was essentially unaware of the intricate nature of his condition as well as autism itself, and decided instead to make the movie less about Raymond's intellectual disability and more about the relationship that was formed between Raymond and Charlie. Real-life brothers Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid were strongly considered for the roles of Raymond Babbitt and Charles Babbitt. They also sent the script to Dustin Hoffman and Bill Murray, doing this because they envisioned Murray in the title role and Hoffman in the role eventually portrayed by Cruise. It's also said that Mickey Rourke was offered a role in the film, but he turned it down. Principal photography included 9 weeks of filming on location in Cincinnati and throughout northern Kentucky. Other portions of the movie were shot in the desert near Palm Springs, California. There was originally a different ending to the movie that was drafted in the first script, which differed from Raymond going back to the institution. Morrow ultimately decided to drop this ending in favor of Raymond returning to the institution, because he felt that this ending was a much better fit for the film. Almost all the principal photography occurred during the 1988 Writers Guild American strike. One of the key scenes that was affected by the lack of writers was the film's final scene. The actor Michael Caine has revealed that Tom Cruise's performance was one of his personal favorites of any movie that he's ever seen. Caine himself found out somewhat late in his adult life that he had a brother he had never been told about who had lived most of his adult life in a mental hospital with a debilitating diagnosis of epilepsy. With the greatest of sincerity, he stated that Tom's performance in this movie was beautifully done, and that Dustin Hoffman's role was really the showy part in the film. Tom's part required great discipline to pull off, and a responsibility to draw the viewer into Raymond's point of view, as well as to portray the painful acceptance of the limitations his brother's condition placed on their level of family intimacy. It's said that during the shooting of the casino scenes, Dustin Hoffman would slip off and play games like blackjack. After one time production was halted to look for him, someone was then assigned to watch after him in between takes. Hoffman's former New York City roommate, the famed actor Gene Hackman, was vying with him for Best Actor for his role in Mississippi Burning. When Hoffman won, he hugged Hackman as he left his seat on the way to the podium, where he affectionately mentioned Hackman in his acceptance speech. He failed to mention Tom Cruise at all, but he later made up for this in the show. With Tom Cruise wearing Ray-Bans, that boosted sales of that style over 15%. While it wasn't anywhere near the big boost that the Wayfarers that he wore in Risky Business boosted sales, it is the second time in the 1980s that wearing a style of Ray-Bans in a movie increased its sales. During the filming of the project, Dustin Hoffman was completely unsure of the film's potential and his own performance in it. Just 3 weeks into the project, he wanted out, telling Barry Levinson that he needed to get Richard Dreyfuss for this role, get somebody else other than me, because he felt that it was some of the worst work he had done in his life. Hoffman would go on to nab his second Best Actor Academy Award. The girlfriend of Tom Cruise's character is played by Valeria Golino, and she's an Italian girl that was born in Naples, Italy. When she was a young girl, her mother frequently took her to the cinema, and she became quickly interested in working in films. But at age 11, she was diagnosed with scoliosis, and she had to have steel rods implanted in her back that stayed there for 5 years. She had all this done in Chicago and was under the care of a surgeon there for about 6 months. During this time, she learned to speak English. She knew a little English before coming here, but after her time in Chicago, she got really fluent at it. Once she mastered English, she was off to the races. She was in TV commercials that led to her first acting roles on film. The underlying reason that she was able to make it big in Hollywood was that she had this disability that allowed her the time to learn English. Take a look back at this classic film from the 80s. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.